Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome back to FRS Season 6. We are here in Imola, in Italy, for Round 9 of PC Division R. It's the second time that FRS has made a visit to the Imola circuit, and here it is. 4.9 kilometers around, 19 corners to get through just the one DRS zone down the pit straight, so overtaking will be a bit of a challenge around this circuit that has quite a few elevation changes. And at 605 meters, Imola features a run from pole to turn 1, 25 meters longer than the previous high in Spain. However, it's not really turn 1, it's technically turn 2 to get to that Tamburello chicane. And that Tamburello chicane is at the end of that pit straight DRS and is one of the best overtaking opportunities on the entire circuit. It then runs to the Variante Villeneuve, but then down the hill into Ravazza as you set up for that long run down the straight could be an overtaking opportunity. The double left-hander, you may be able to get a car a little bit off. The soft, medium, and hard tires, as always. The mediums are only about 0.6 of a lap slower. The hards 1.1 seconds slower per lap. And in this 32 lap race, rather, the hards will do about 28 laps, the mediums 22, the softs will only go about 11 laps. So much like a lot of the other circuits around the season, it is going to be all about not utilizing those soft tires. They're not the best in class here, but cars are heading out on the out lap and getting ready to warm up and head for the circuit. So we will join the track once the screen wakes up, because for whatever reason OBS takes a long time to switch over. There it is. And we will see who we've got furthest along on an out lap. It's a blue dot. Might be is it Gully? No, it is a different blue dot. Maybe Elliot. There we go. Elliot usually pretty far along on the circuit here, getting set up for the first flying lap of this Div R session. Through Ravazza he goes, getting the car wound up for the flyer. Tricky traction zone out of the final corner, and now hugging this right side, opening the DRS. There is your timing beam. A little right hand, left hand kinks. Technically turn 1 is right there, but we won't measure it till the brake is down. Brake right at the start of the curbing there, into the Tamburello chicane, through the left-hander as you head down next to a tricky chicane, the Villeneuve chicane. Almost flat as you pitch it in, and it actually looks like Elliot may not be at a full push on this one. We're still feeling out. Now into Tosa. This left-hander up the hill, a little tricky getting on the throttle and rotating the car. And then up at the top to Piratella, the double left-hander. Tricky, you're going to see drivers run out wide, and it looks like he's just about kept it in bounds there. Down the hill, Aqua Minerale, tricky braking zone. He has run just a little bit wide, and that has cost him that qualifying run. So we'll jump on board, take a look at Dog as he is coming down into Aqua Minerale. Boof is out of the session. It appears that he has had a crash out of the final corner there. So Boof will be starting at the very back of this qualifying list as Dog navigates Variante Alta. The Alta chicane up at the top of the hill, the highest point of the circuit, and then it's a downhill run into Ravazza for this 2 set of left-handers. Tricky to get the turn-in point and braking right for both of them, really. Almost on throttle as you come through turn 4. Hugging the right side, using as much of the track as he can. 17.6 to go, provisional pole. Dr. Zeta so quickly takes over the top spot. 16.4, Gali up 17.2. And Ruprath will go into a 16.1. Naktrack will be next across the line. Provisional pole, 15.6. So an incredible improvement there for the Div 1 driver. Oba Mendez next across the line, goes into the 118s. And it looks like we'll grab Frazier diving into the pit lane, so not opting to continue that lap. Wilco will be next across the line. Grabs an 18.4 for a provisional P6. Tez in unfamiliar colors, usually the McLaren driver in the Mercedes today. An unrepresentative lap there for them. Blackbird now working their way down the hill into Ravazza for the 2 left-handers to get set up for the final portion of this lap. It looks like there's just kind of a little bit of stuttering going on. Let me see if there's anything I can shut down on my computer to save a little bit of headroom. Let me grab our end in the other Mercedes. Let me just shut this bad boy down. Apologies for the screen overlay. try and get a little bit more performance out of it. Of course, recording, broadcasting, all that is a bit of a toll on the PC. And that is just awful. That camera angle is just terrible through there. It really glitches out quite a lot. So, probably do a lot of onboard shots here just to save the eyes. And across the line goes RN up into a provisional P2. Where is Space Ghost? He is coming through the Alta chicane now. Just getting settled in. And he's got 2 personal bests, as you would expect from most drivers setting personal best. The first lap times done in this 18-minute qualifying session. And across the start-finish line comes Space Ghost, goes at 18.8. So quite a spread of times here. We'll see if Blackbird, they are on an in-lap, so no lap for Blackbird there. We'll grab Charlie Chibbles, who is the only driver on an out lap at the moment. So he will be gearing up for his first flying run of this qualifying session. We'll grab an onboard with him, as it looks like Elliott has just come out of the pit lane and is working their way through the Tamburello chicane already. So over the top of the hill, just getting temperature into the tires, getting wound up for that race to the start finish line and that full flying lap. So we'll see how much downshifting, how short shifted Charlie Chibbles is. 5th gear, it's going to pull quite a ways through that lower section of the gearing, but now opening up that DRS and across the start finish line to start the timer. Down into the Tamburello chicane, try and avoid the sausage curbs. You could really take a more efficient line through those curbs if there was not those sausages. They are fairly flat curbs. Now into Villeneuve, a little click of the downshift, and then hard braking for the second part of the chicane. Here's the tricky part of the Villeneuve chicane. Most chicanes you are slower through the first part and then you're accelerating through the second part. It's backwards in this second chicane here. Snap of oversteer, and that has taken Charlie Chibbles over the line at Piratella. And as you kind of crest that hill, the car does go just a little bit light over there. So we will grab Elliott, who is starting a flying lap. DRS slams shut on the only DRS zone of the circuit. Works their way through the Tamburello chicane quite nicely. Next up, they will head down into the Villeneuve chicane. Very wide on the entry there. Keeps it in bounds. It's not going to be the quickest way to run through the first sector, but it is indeed a valid way, and it actually looks like they have indeed completely backed out of that one, I believe. Zados is just starting up a flying lap, looking to improve on a 16.4 in this one. We'll keep an eye, as I believe there's a couple other drivers on flying laps. That is the Aston Martin well off the racing line to avoid getting in the way of Zados. Frazier just starting up a lap of their own, but Zados with a strong first sector, improving by about almost 2/10. So there's time being found in that Alpha Tauri, as they're just local yellows as drivers on out laps and in laps move aside for those that are on the hot laps. Zados needs to find about 0.8 of a second in order to get into that provisional pole, catching up to the Haas, and out of the way gets the Haas. That could be Ruprath or Dog. I'm not sure off the top of my head. Now down into the last couple of corners, we will see where Zados can indeed find their way around this one. Through the final couple of corners they go. Hold the right side, and will they find some improvements? They do. 2.5 puts them into provisional P2 at the moment. I believe next across the line is Naktrack, who is not improving on their laps, so they have indeed gone ahead and backed out. Gali will be next across the line. He seems to be on a strong lap. 17.2 to beat, goes 16.7. Ruprath improves as well, goes to a 16.1, takes away that front row spot. RN next across the line, just starting a lap. And it will be Wilco, I think, next across. Has not improved themselves either. Space Ghost working their way through the final couple of corners. There is a Red Bull off the track to the inside. I believe that might be Aerox, who's had a little bit of a spin. Luckily did so before reaching the pit entry, so he will duck in and get a new front wing. Elliott into the pits. Oba Mendez working through the final couple of corners now. 52.7. Oh, this very 4.07. That doesn't seem right. Crosses the line and does not set anything new. An 18.9. So Zados working their way on the in lap. I believe Dog may be on a flyer through these last couple of corners now. Has improved by 0.9 of a second. So finding about a second nearly of time. Keeps it well in bounds in the last couple of corners here. DRS is open across the line. They do improve by a second. A 16.682 is where they will go. Kane just starting up a flying lap. We'll sit on board with the Divar driver themselves to see how they can handle the tricky circuit that is Imola. They're finding the braking point for turn one, pitching it in. A little uneasy over the curving there. And just running a little wide through the Villeneuve chicane. Somehow kept it valid. Lost time through it, so it will keep it valid now through Tosa. They go now working up the way, up the hill to Piratella. Looks like yellow flag in sector 1 as one of the Mercedes that was on a push lap has had a mistake. Still staying just inside track limits is Kane through Piratella. You do seem to be able to run just a little bit wider than you'd expect there. Take some of the curving. Tricky traction zone is Aqua Minerale, but the end of the lap is just about in sight. Tricky tall curbs through Variante Alta, and then the sawtooth curbs on the exit on the right there. Really tough to get the traction down on those. Then into Ravazza for the last couple of corners. Just after the 100-meter board, you can really break in for Ravazza. Oh, the back end has gotten away. The big slide across. And I think that is going to be just about it for the lap. They are going to finish the lap to at least set a valid lap time, but that is not going to be an ideal lap for them. Naktrack coming through. Ravazza now looking to just about keep the car in bounds. And it looks like he's had a bit of a slow lap there. Slowed down. Stays on that 15.6. Into the pit lane is the Mercedes. I believe Chibbles next across the line. Doesn't seem to have set any kind of improvements. And striking out on another flying lap. So we'll stay with the Aston Martin, as there's just about 5 minutes left to go in this qualifying session. Yellow flags in the final sector. That is a McLaren that is off the circuit to the inside. Chibbles with a strong first sector there, working their way through Tosa and back up the hill to Piratella. This time not having the big swapper that they had the first time we rode on board with them through Piratella. Now flat on the entry to Aqua Minerale, then finding that braking point midway through the corner, up the hill with the throttle flat to the floor. And now into the Variante Alta, taking a good amount of curb on the entry to try and open up the exit, and now has a car just ahead that is probably going to have to bail out of the way. It is going to compromise their run to start their next flying lap for the Red Bull, but it's just what you got to do. You got to hop out of the way. Charlie Chibbles, though, hugging the right side, shortening, going provisional pole, do they, at the start here. So, provisional pole position for the Aston Martin driver. Been one of the quicker ones around the circuit. We will see who is next across the line. Elliott has found some time in the first two sectors. Can they find more? No, they've bailed out. They are unhappy with it. And into the pit lane they go. Fraser looking to be setting a representative lap time. Finally does go provisional pole. Last week we saw them just kind of hiding their pace. They didn't set a valid lap. Blackbird improves by over a second, goes to a 16.6, so a strong lap for Blackbird there. Aerox really the only other one on a valid flyer at the moment, as the Aston ahead of them will be Charlie Chibbles. I think actually Ruprath might be on a lap themselves. They've found a little bit of time, only a couple of hundredths though. They will need a mighty final sector in order to really take over that provisional pole position or get their way too close to it, but no, they failed out. So, out they go, not into the pit lane. We will grab Air Rocks as he works his way through the final couple of corners. And on the throttle, just about staying inside the track limits, staying valid. And they do go onto a 120.0, so ahead of Kane in the other Ferrari. So I believe we've got a McLaren is the furthest around on an outlap, unless this is Blackbird here on a flyer. Has lost a little bit of time and has backed out. 12 seconds off the pace now through those first two sectors. So we will grab Wilco, who is on their outlap and working their way to start their flying lap here. So pitching it in to the final corner, trying to get as good of a run as possible, because you carry that speed all the way down this main straight. Now DRS is open there. Across the line as we start the timer. 18.4 to beat for Wilco to improve up the list. Needs to find just about 3 seconds to get up towards the Div 1 pace, and wide is Wilco, so that will not be a valid improvement for them in this situation. I believe Naktrack might be on a fast lap here, 50.4. No, looks like they've continued, so the timer seems to be a little bit off. Does not improve, 15.634. That actually might be just them starting their lap. So we'll stay on board with Naktrack, who has snagged a couple of Div 1 poles in their career and was largely seen, had some great success in the sprint races that we did over the last couple of seasons. Sprint races, though, the troubles they caused mostly have left them off, and the poor reception of them. So sprint races have been largely off the FRS calendar for this season. Of course, nothing is ever truly gone. But now down into Piratella goes Naktrack. Can they find some time? We'll see how they're doing second sector split through Aqua Minerale. Looks to be pretty tidy. A little bit of a engine rev up as the wheels get light at the bottom. 2/10 found for Naktrack. It'll put them right around Charlie Chibbles. They need to find a little bit more time in the final sector to really challenge for that provisional pole. Just a minute left to go in this qualifying session as it is starting to ramp up, and both Aston Martins currently 1-2 on the timing sheets, very close to each other on track even on their outlap, so it will be a nip and tuck affair. But first, Naktrack across the line, goes provisional pole 15.2, so does find that time he needs in the final sector and has turned in quite a good lap. Next up, Dr. Zados will jump on board with, has found 2/10. Could get himself into the 15s. Throttling up, hugging the right side. DRS flips open. Cross line 15.8, so does improve up to the top 5. And now we will see the main provisional pole contenders starting their laps. We'll grab Tez, who is in the first Mercedes, looking to come across the line. Maybe just a little off, looking to see if he can improve off of a 17.1. Coming up to the line, does improve a 16.9, finds a couple of tenths there. Our end of the next Mercedes across line has a Ferrari ducking into the pit lane ahead of him and does not improve. So no improvements for our end. Are they going for another flying lap? There's some yellow flags, a slow moving Aston Martin on the track. Now the question is, which one is it? And it is Charlie Chibbles who's going slower. Frazier a little bit slower in the first sector than his previous best lap. Only needs to find about half a tenth to take provisional pole back away. The checkered flag is out. Ruprath is in with a 15.6. Gali's across with a 16.4. Mendez, Wilco, Aerox, Kane locked in with their times. Frazier continuing on. Elliott is out of the session, has crashed in Piratella. So no improvements for Elliott in this one. Can Frazier manage to get that pole position back from Naktrack at the death of this one? The last moment, using as much track as he can on the exit of Ravazza. Crossline does indeed a 15.147, nearly dipping down to the 13s. I believe our end has not improved on this lap, so no improvements to be found for the Mercedes driver. Blackbird, the next across the line, as that is going to be Charlie Chibbles with a checkered flag. No improvements as there was those yellow flags he was a part of. Cross line goes Blackbird, does not improve. Next up, Space Ghost into the pit lane, bails out. No improvements to be found for Space Ghost. Now, Tez, not going quickly, is chilled out there, and it looks like we have just about got everybody checkered flagged, and Tez just has to pull into the pit lane. So, Frazier right at the very end of it takes pole position away from Track, sharing the front row. Charlie Chibbles in third, unable to improve on the final run. Ruprath up there in fourth, our end in fifth. Dr. Zados in sixth, Kali seventh, Blackbird eighth, Dog ninth, and Tez rounds out the top 10. Elliot is in 11th, Space Ghost 12th, Oba Mendez, Captain Wilco, Aerox, Kane, and Boof, looking to be an interesting result here because he is going to have to charge through the field after not being able to set a valid lap time in this one. So, all to play for. I'm actually going to find somebody who's not going around the track. There we go. Just get the pit lane. But it is all to play for here in this. And yes, Boof does need to do a last to first challenge around a circuit that is quite difficult to overtake on. We did see a few drivers crash out in qualifying here. So there is the opportunity for those solo safety cars. And of course, with how difficult it is to qualify, we may see some people get desperate and make some lunges. But the pace spread fairly spread out in this qualifying session. Of course, you expect it in Div R. Because of all the different drivers. But we are getting set up and ready to rock and roll. While drivers get all their strategies set, we will relax just a moment. So a familiar sight at the top of the timing towers, of course. Frazier taking pole position. Obviously, career stats are not included for PC Div R, as it's not super representative because you are facing such a variety. It would really harm the stats of lower division drivers and provide a little bit of a stomping grounds for the upper division drivers. But Frazier is at this point the career FRS poles leader. Was in a tie with MJ Povey at the start of this season, but has had a tremendous season combined with some game issues for Povey over on the Xbox side and a resurgence of LC Fighter. Looks like somebody has hit go already on this one, so we will get ready to rock and roll. We will silence the David. But it does look a little bit cloudy. There is a chance of rain here in Imola always. And we will see if the weather does indeed come around to play a factor in this one as drivers head out onto the grid and the formation lap starts. We will see what tires everybody is starting on. The only drivers on softs, Arend and Boof. Boof going to have to make a lot of ground. Hards and mediums, the order of the day. Frazier, Chibbles, Elliott, Space Ghost, and everybody down on hards, and then another mixture of mediums. Softs, you can go soft to hard and get to the end of the race, but we will absolutely need to see what the weather has in store for us. So if that is the case, Frazier on hards could be the maneuver. But it is a very long run down to turn 2, technically, the Tamburello chicane, the first actual braking zone of the circuit. But cars are getting sorted on the grid here, and they will get the last few slotted into their position. We will get ready to go racing. So here we go. The 5 red lights are working their way on. We wait for them to go off. Off they do go, and it looks to be a good start for Track on the inside. A good start for Boof at the back as well. Track already into the lead of this race. The mid-pack very tight, and Charlie Chibble is going to challenge the temporary teammate as now Arend getting involved around the outside. A little bit of a kerfuffle at the back. Boof, though, up into 11th place already, 10th now. Has moved his way inside the top 10 through the first couple of corners. So that is exactly what Boof needed on those soft tires to strike ahead and really get some action done. We will keep an eye as they are still side by side with Tez. Tez around the outside in the Mercedes. And Boof on those soft tires will continue to be side by side on the run up the hill. Boof will have the inside for Piratella here, and it is very tough to stay side by side through this high-speed left-hander. So Boof will take that position away, and now Tricky with the heavy fuel loads into Aqua Minerale. But out at the front seems to be relatively stationary, although our end putting some serious pressure on Charlie Chibbles up at the front now. We will see if the Mercedes driver has any inklings of going for a dive late on the brakes. Our end, of course, on those soft tires compared to Chibbles on the hards. So there's a significant tire delta back there. Dog and Blackbird falling down the order, just a couple of slots getting kind of sorted out of that position. It looks like Chibbles has gotten the release off the final corner. He needs to hold off Boof there, but now we will have Tez and Blackbird going side by side. And around the outside, oh, Blackbird's just completely missed the braking point straight on through the runoff area there, and Blackbird has rejoined the track. Boof on Dog now to the inside on the softs, going to try and make it 2 around the outside of Elliott. Not enough space there. 3 wide into Tosa. There's not going to be space for that move to come off. Dog is going to get shuffled to the outside. And Boof and Elliott now side by side as they head up the hill. And Elliott has lost 3 seconds to the lead pack. And now Boof is going to have to really use those soft tires. Leave space for Elliott on the outside. Dog going to sneak up the inside. Tez having a look to maybe try and take that position into Aqua Minerale. But for as difficult as the overtaking is, Boof is making it work on those soft tires, as it looks like Elliott has had a spin through Aqua Minerale there. Tricky section. Now to the inside goes our end on Charlie Chibbles. Will switch to the outside in Ravazza. He's had a tire on the grass, so that's really going to compromise his braking, and that is going to cost him the position. Dr. Zados nearly capitalizing on that, but our end has come out just ahead. DRS is enabled this lap, so we will see it the next time we come down the front straight, and Zados really looking to try and make his way through, as I don't know that Chibbles left quite enough space for our end on the outside into Ravazza. Off the track is Frazier. Frazier has gone straight on in Tamburello and is dropping down the order. A big mistake from the pole sitter, and he's going to rejoin outside of the points. Behind Blackbird, behind Space Ghost, behind even Wilco. And he's going to have Oba Mendez bearing down on him at a rate of knots. He's going to have to move out of the way to slot in as the dirt comes off the tires. But a big mistake from the Division 1 championship leader. Has the opportunity to clinch it in his race this race week, and had the chance last week. Didn't quite do enough to take it, and it continued on to the final 2 rounds. But Frazier now with some serious work to do, all the way down in 14th position and sitting 17 seconds off the lead. Gali has had a moment through Aqua Minerale as well. So the next driver that is caught out, he's just holding stationary until he can get the car spun around safely. And there he goes. But that will result in him dropping all the way to the back of the grid and into 17th. And Frazier falling back once more, has had another mistake through Variante Alta. So he is down to 16th now, and really needs some help in this one. Up at the front, Dr. Zetas, just caught it as he spun, was looking maybe to make a move on our end there, has had a spin through Tamburello. I don't know if there was any contact. It was getting very close on an overtaking opportunity, but around he went, and he's still not yet rejoined this one. He's got, once again, got to wait for that safe rejoin, and right to the back, he's going to have Gali coming through relatively quickly. He's going to dart back and use a lot of that power to try and get back up to racing speed, but mistakes being made here around the Imola circuit. The only mistake not yet being made is Knack Track. 3.3 seconds out in front. Had an amazing start off the line, and took pole position essentially away from Frazier, got him on the start, and then down into turn 1 managed to secure that move, and now has been running away from the pack. Ruprath starting to close up on the back of our end here. It's one of the closer battles, as looks like Gali and Zados have had a bit of a position swap, but the rest of the field starting to have a little bit of breathing space. Boof, the big gainer, though, up 12 spots into 5th from the back. However, he's on those soft tires, and they will start to degrade. You notice he's not really making any inroads on Boof at this stage, or Ruprath at this stage. So, work to do for the driver. Our end has had a moment. He's gone off at the Villeneuve chicane, So that is Ruprath through, and Blackbird is out. Blackbird's had a crash through Tamburello, a big snap of oversteer, and that is a full safety car, and that's exactly what Boof probably would have needed. You can go hard tires to the end of this race now at this stage, but that's about the worst time for RN to have the mistakes he did. He's dropped from P3 to P7, and Boof, after making a good charge on those soft tires at the start, in 4th, and is now going to get closed up to the pack. So we will see, do any of the medium and soft runners come in for the tires to go to the end? You can do about 28 laps on those hard tires. We are 5 laps in, so there is the opportunity. Nobody yet with any track limits penalties, though. So we are not a little surprising there. And into the pit lane is Knack Track, so he is taking that pit stop. We'll see what tires he goes on. Should be the hard tires. Ruprath is in. Boof should be in as well. We'll see Do Dog Tez. Yes, looks like all of the medium and soft runners are making the change. So in comes Wilco. And it is going to be all of those ready to go to the end of this race. So the free pit stop, a little bit of a delay, just a half second or so for Dog in the double stack. Looks to be relatively clean, but we should see, I think, everybody on hard tires now at this stage of the race. Because everybody that has started on softer mediums has indeed made the pit stop and gone onto those hard compound tires. So Charlie Chibbles inherits the lead of the race by virtue of starting on those hard tires. Space Ghost as well takes P2. Knack Track slots in 3rd, so had a bit of a buffer to the field. 3 seconds that he had, and then a couple seconds back to the following drivers after the drivers in P2. Oba Mendez on the hards that they started on. Airrocks and Fraser now getting a little bit of help from that safety car after the mistakes that dropped him down the order. Does still need to make a stop. Ruprath comes out in 7th, and the rest of the field kind of slots in behind. So Boof giving up about 4 positions worth of track space, but is on a set of tires that will go to the end of this race now. Now, as far as the weather report goes, it appears we will stay dry but slightly cloudy the entire way through the rest of this one. So don't expect the wet tires to have to come into play at any point. And now the field just needs to bunch itself right back up. There should be maybe another lap or 2 under safety car conditions. Elliott still has a little bit of ground to catch up to the pack. Was the last car running, but will help them out as their couple of spins drop them to the rear of the field. So there's still some work to do for those, but we will see if the hard tire runners, those who started on the hard tire rather, will be able to make up the ground that they need to come out in a competitive position towards the end of this race, and just see how the fresher mediums will do against the old hards when we get to the end of this one. 7 laps in now to this 32 lap race, so the hard tires should have no problems getting to the end, as it looks like the group pack of Tez, Dog, R, and Wilco have caught up. Kane, Galizados, Elliott, the next little pack to reattach to the end of the train. Looks like has Elliott made a second pit stop? He has. Elliott has made another stop. What has he opted for? He's gone back onto the hard tire. As he started on the hards, the mediums would not get to the end of the race from where they are currently at. So he's going to go back on and essentially sync his strategy up with the likes of Chibbles, Space Ghost, Airrocks, Fraser, and Oba Mendez. So he'll be on the same strategy as them, going to the mediums at the end of the race. Oh, a mistake under safety car conditions. Who is that has lost it? That is Gali, who has had a spin warming up the tires over the Variante Alta, and that is a big mistake for the Alpine driver, because the entire pack, aside from Elliott, had been caught up. Now, I think this coming lap in, we will see the safety car called in, whether or not Elliott reattaches to the end of the train, because he has made 2 pit stops. The hard tire is a tricky tire to get warmed up to temperature under safety car conditions. You will probably see the drivers having to do quite a bit of effort to warm these up. Elliott just working their way down the front straight now, so should be well caught up by the time they hit the Sector 2 split, which is usually where the safety car in this lap message gets called. Maybe slightly later, maybe closer to Variante Alta here around Imola, as it is slightly different per track. Elliott just coming out of Tosa there. You can see in the background reattaching to the end of the train. So would expect that the safety car will be in this lap and we'll be back to green flag racing very, very shortly. Out at the front, Charlie Chibbles leads this race from Space Ghost, Knack Truck, Open Mendez, Aerox, Frazier, Ruprath, Booth, Tez, and Dog make up your top 10. Knack Truck really in great position. Safety car is indeed in this lap. So now Chibbles will back the pack up and do what he can to warm the tires while he does that. We will get ready to go back to green flag racing. It's a long run down to the first braking zone. It's so easy to call it turn 1 when it's really technically turn 2. That little left-handed kink is technically turn 1. We'll see, has Chibbles gone yet? Chibbles has not yet gone. Still maintaining about 65 miles an hour. Nice highway speed, and now he's accelerating. So, big snap of oversteer, though, on the exit, and that has cost him a bit of time. I believe Knack Truck has got the run on Space Ghost. Is in the slipstream as they go by. Is he going to pull to the inside? Space Ghost defending to the inside as Knack Truck on the outside. Not quite going to get alongside. Is going to have to back out and yield. That's going to put him under pressure from Oba Mendez a little bit, though, because he had to compromise the line. Off the track is Aerox, it would appear. Dropping down the order is Dog, who has had a spin. It looks like he's come together with Tez, the Mercedes and the Haas together. Ruprath is dropping down the order. It looks like he's just gotten caught wrong-footed. Off to the inside is Oba Mendez, who's had a bit of a mistake through Tosa. So more mistakes. Fraser now up into 4th. Side by side with Aerox into Piratella. Aerox off the outside now as Booth slotting through on those hard compound tires and staying right with the leaders. Golly up to 12th now as he passes Oba Mendez, who is struggling. Looks like there's been a mistake from one of the cars. There's a bit of a gap opening up, but now our end a little bit far off the pack, and Ruprath now sliding down the order. It looks like there's a big kerfuffle. Oh, there's cars on top of each other. I think there may be some desync. We'll keep an eye on it. I believe there is some desync going on up front. Knack Truck has caught up to the pack. There has taken over the position from Space Ghost, and I think we'll just have to see. We'll continue and see. Keep an eye out and see if it is indeed a desync or if it was a temporary thing. There has been a little bit of lag. It seems the drivers know where each other are at this point, so it may have been just temporary. As this battle rages on, we'll keep an eye out. It was the Haas of, or I mean the Williams of Elliott and the Haas, or Ferrari of Kane. I don't know why I keep saying Haas because I see Ruprath in the background. It seems to be okay now at this stage. We'll keep an eye on it. Looks like it's kind of sorted itself out. DRS is now enabled. As our end has had a spin out of the final corner, is going to have to try and rejoin with this entire pack coming through. He's off the racing line, so he'll be able to get up to speed and slot in, maybe grab a little bit of slipstream to help him get up to pace. But now has Gali coming up the side of him. Side by side, they'll be going down into Tamburello. The Haas v Haas. Dog sending it up the inside of Ruprath does indeed take that position. And now Boof up into 5th. on the back of Space Ghost is going to have to try and make a move. He does. He is in position to have DRS on the next time down the main pit straight here, as we are just about at that 11 lap. Wide is Space Ghost, and he is just going to have to rejoin carefully. Space Ghost, being his typical cautious self, has gone a little bit deep there, but now has managed to slot back in behind. And now Boof setting off after the leaders. Knack has shown really great pace, race pace so far in this one. Has 2.5 seconds to Frazier behind. Charlie Chibbles 2.2 seconds out in the lead. So the lead pack still a little bit spaced out. We'll keep an eye on this mid-pack battle that is continuing to go on, as it is just about trying to score points. Elliott and Arend near to each other. Elliott at the front of this DRS train, trying to close up to the back of Kane to try and get a little bit of help as that rear wing will split open, but that is going to not come off. We'll keep an eye first. Wilco in the McLaren coming through. It looks like he's going to try and make a move on Airrocks. Airrocks defending to the inside. No, switches to the outside. Little look is to the inside is Airrocks. And Arend not quite going to make the move come off just yet. So, all as it is there. And now Boof 1.4 seconds off the back. Arend and Dog side by side. Ruprath is out. Ruprath has gone off through Varianti Villeneuve, and that is another full safety car. So, full safety car is called. Side by side are Arend and Elliott. I'm not sure who was ahead when the safety car was called, and is going to be very interesting to see as that one sorts out. But now, I think 20 laps, we are in margin where the medium tires can get to the end of the race. So there is the possibility, we will keep an eye and see if any of our hard tire runners, those who started on the hards, do opt to come in for the mediums now to go to the end of the race. Charlie Chibbles stays out. Necktrack had already made that pit stop. He will stay out, unsurprisingly. Frazier, though, into the pit lane, so he is opting for those new tires. Space Ghost will come in as well. We will see Airrocks is the next driver on the list, and see if he decides to come in for a set of tires. Indeed, he does. So, into the pit lane is Airrocks. Now, does Elliott make the move? Elliott stays out, and Oba Mendez also stays out. So, Frazier onto the medium, Space Ghost on the mediums, Dr. Zados onto the soft compound. Likely an incorrect choice. Airrocks on the mediums. Gali is back onto some mediums that have some wear in them. 5 laps done on those already. And I think this pack that was having some issues, Kane, R, and Elliott, with the, mounting of cars. Where is Elliott? Has Elliott fallen off the circuit? I think Elliott fell off the circuit there. Whoa! I think Tez might have been getting told to give the place back, but that was nearly a big crash. And there we go. So it seems, as I was saying, it looks like it was just temporary, maybe even just on my end. May have been some mounting of the cars. Might have just been observer side desync. I didn't see any drivers complaining. Nobody got nerfed off because of it. And under safety car conditions, everything seems to be okay. So, we'll keep an eye on it. Seems to be fine, though. Just the one thing. And, you get to see how new F1 cars are made. But Charlie Chibbles staying out on the tires. Him, Oba Mendez, the only drivers who have yet to come into the pit lane. Elliott has made 2 stops. That's why he's on a set of older tires, because he put his original hards back on. Gali is making a second stop to switch back to the hards, I believe, as he was making the swap onto the mediums that I don't think would make it to the end of the race. I believe he's going to go back onto, yes, those 7-lap hard tires, which will get to the end of the race. I believe he had to pit, though, for some damage. So that might explain why he made that initial stop anyway. He's off the back of the pack, needed to pick up likely some repairs. But now we'll keep an eye on Dr. Zados, who's in the pack now with a set of soft tires. And we'll see what Frazier and Space Ghost are going to do. So, the ebbs and flows of this circuit, mistakes being made. Charlie Chibble's in the lead from Knack Track. Booth in third after starting last. Wilco is in fourth. Kane, Arend, Dog, Oba, Mendez, Frazier, and Tez rounds out your top 10. Space Ghost on those mediums is just outside the points in 11th. Elliott is in 12th. Zados in 13th. Airrock's 14th. Gali making up number 15 there, catching up to the pack. And 2 retirements triggering the 2 safety cars so far in this race. Blackbird and Ruprath both with retirements. As Gali apparently picking up penalty for track limits while hustling to catch up to the pack. And that's not what you exactly need in this particular situation. Your first driver, actually, as we're coming up on the halfway point of this race, the first driver to pick up a track limits penalty. So surprisingly, the first one. Dr. Zados back into the pit lane, getting off of those soft tires, I would assume. We will see what tires he goes on to. Interesting that he waited like 2 laps in the train before doing so. That will drop him all the way to the back and likely make it a tough order to catch the pack up. We'll just have to wait and see. He is on the move once again. But I would guess that the safety car would probably be in this lap because it usually doesn't wait for the double stoppers. Usually the double stoppers can get around quick enough to catch the train, and I'm assuming Zados will be on a decent amount of push. Through the Villeneuve chicane he goes. We'll grab the onboard here. Check him out. It's a safe but quick. He's definitely not going safety car pace, but he's definitely... when he hits the straights, going full throttle, pelting it. Taking 1 gear lower through Piratella as well, and yeah, he's caught up the train relatively quickly here. Safety car is indeed in this lap. We will grab the leader once again. Charlie Chibbles with the second restart of the day, slowing the pack up, letting that safety car get away for this next restart. Going a little quicker than before, but keeping a relatively consistent pace this time down the hill. Gonna have to slow a little bit to make the corner, trying to get some heat into those tires, and I think he's just about gone a little bit earlier this time, and Knack Track was not caught out by it. Knack Track was all over that and is now in the slipstream and trying to close up. I don't know, the Knack Track is burning quite the battery power that Chibbles is. They will be a little bit further apart at the restart. Our end is got Kane up the inside, and they're going to go side by side over the sausages they go. It looks like there's just about enough space between the two. Kane sneaking up and into the chicane. Dog is going to make it 3 wide. That is not a safe move, and our end is going to sweep around the outside at the start of the Villeneuve chicane, and through goes Dog as well. Frazier now making his way past the Ferrari of Oba Mendez. Big snap of oversteer. Oh, there's a crash. Kane is out. There was a spin from the Ferrari, and Kane has rammed into the side of, unable to avoid, was the cars behind. And I think the field's so bunched up that we may just have that local yellow. It'll get it cleared before the track comes through, the cars come through. RN now making their way up on to Dog side by side. Frazier just looking on those medium tires to try and sneak through. Yeah, Charlie, I usually save the VODs. I'm pretty sure I saved them there. They should all be saved as highlights. But also on YouTube, if you go to there's an FRS channel. So if you just go search FRS and then go to channels and make sure to filter by channels, as Dog is going to sneak up the inside of our end there. Frazier still just kind of stuck behind this battle of two. It looks like he's got to run, though, into Tosa. And around the outside, he's going to try to go side by side as him and Arend. And I think Frazier might just about have the drive to take that position away from Arend. They're going to be side by side into Piratella now. Can he carry the speed? Arend leaving the space on the outside, and this battle will continue down into Aqua Minerale. Tricky, tricky corner, and Arend just kind of has to back out. But yeah, if you search FRS and just make sure, because it is, you'll get a lot of other stuff for just like Subaru or the Subaru FRS or whatever the Toyota FRS car. But if you just change the filter to search for channel, it's literally just FRS, and all of our stuff gets uploaded there. There are playlists, and a lot of them actually are, most of them are slightly better quality than what we have on Twitch, because at least for the streams that myself and Turbo do, we record locally as well as what the broadcast stream is, so we capture the stuff before it gets smushed down by the bit rate. Frazier now looking to attack Dog, and Wilco is falling about 6 seconds off the lead. Naktrack getting involved with the battle for the lead with Charlie Chibbles, trying to take that position away, and Frazier on the medium tires is making some good moves. Space Ghost as well, sneaking his way through. Wilco off the track has been overtaken by both Dog and Frazier, and now has Arend looking up the inside of Piratella here, and just about has to take to the runoff. And now Arend has a pair of McLarens behind, and we'll see how friendly the McLarens are. Wilco and Space Ghost side by side. Wilco gets a great release off of Aqua Minerale, and now we've got a McLaren Mercedes, checkerboard pattern go. Oh, you're talking about this like as it's going. Usually, yeah, it's interesting. Twitch just doesn't behave sometimes. Frazier has made his way past Dog with the DRS thing. Usually when you close it out, it'll pop up. Sometimes you can go to videos and just kind of click it and it'll show everything that's going on as it's going. But yeah, sometimes Twitch is just a little bit weird. But back in the pack, fighting for the last point. Gali now up the inside of Space Ghost, side by side. And it looks like Gali's had to back out a little bit, has had a moment. And looks like Dr. Zados has snuck through there as well. Elliott now on our end through Piratella. Ooh, he's gone a bit wide, though. Has had a bit of a snap, and looks like our end struggling just a little bit now, picking up time penalties. The time penalties are starting to come in as the drivers are really starting to push. We're beyond that midway point of the race. So what penalties do we have? Our end, Zato, Scully, and Aerox all carrying 3-second time penalties, and our end on the gearbox of Elliott. Elliott just about staying inside the DRS detection of Space Ghost ahead, so he will have the help down the straight. You'll see that rear wing flip open on the Williams, the Mercedes. No, he fell out. I thought he was there at detection. Detection midway through Ravazza 1, actually. So we'll stay here. Arend, though, not quite making the ground he needs. It looks like he's running low on the battery. And Elliott is able to hold position. Oh, big snap, though, from Elliott. That's going to cost him some momentum. Arend, though, had to get out of the throttle as well to avoid a collision. So that's put Zados on the back of this pack. So now Elliott falling out of the gap of Space Ghost. Wilco still ahead of the McLaren Mercedes combo. Frazier picks up a 3-second time penalty. So now Dog is in position to take over fourth if he can just hang with Frazier for the remaining 12 laps of this one. Naktrack staying near Chibbles, but not in a position to really make an overtaking attempt happen just yet. Oh, deep is Elliott, and that is going to cost him some serious momentum over the sausage curbs. Our end is going to make his way through. Is Zados going to have a moment? No. Elliott stayed side by side with our end, and now Zados is going to go up the inside as our end is a bit boxed in by the Williams, and our end burning so much battery to try and get ahead of this pack. He seems to have the pace to potentially run away from the pack, but he just can't make the overtake sticks. Goes for the cutback. He's up the inside of Zados, a little further back, side by side. They go on the exit of Ravazza 2. Gali is getting involved now in the Alpine, right up the airbox or the diffuser of our end, and it may look like Gali might be able to sneak the position away, and the Mercedes may go from leading this pack to sliding to the back of it, and it looks like once again, just kind of having to step in and out of the throttle. Oh, big spin. There's contact between Zados and Elliott. Zados is out of this session. Elliott had a half spin coming out of the corner, and that is a full safety car. Oh, wow. Well, that four-way fight was heating up and was going for multiple laps, and then just a mistake on the exit of Tamburello, and Zados got caught up in it, had no place to go to avoid. Our end and Gali are through cleanly. That is now our third safety car of the race. Such unfortunate luck from an impressive battle. But now, I think that leans into Charlie Chibbles' chances. He is instantly into the pit lane. No surprises there. Knacktrack stays out. We'll go to the end of the race. Boof is into the pit lane. He's going to get off of those medium tires. Or hard tires. What will he go on to? Charlie Chibbles onto the mediums. Boof will be on mediums as well. So since he started on those softs, yes, he does have those fresh mediums. Frazier is in. Dog is in. Tez, Wilco are in. Our end is coming in as well. Gali going to make the pit stop. So softs for Frazier. They can get to the end. Oh, and Aerox picks up 5 seconds for speeding on his way into the pit lane. Elliott is in as well. So lifetime of the soft tire is about 10-11 laps. We do have 10 laps left to go in this race, but we have some safety car conditions going on. And will save some life. So Gali Aerox onto the soft tires. Everybody else that pitted onto the mediums, I think Knacktrack may be in just a little bit of trouble. He's on some old hard tires. They'll be 26 laps old by the time we get to the end of this race. Space Ghost is in an interesting position. I think he's going to be experiencing some degradation as well. Dog, Tez, Wilco, the age of their mediums, they shouldn't be in too much trouble to the end of this race. They'll be about 15 laps old at the end, so they won't be into their main deg phase. So, Knacktrack leads from Space Ghost, Charlie Chibbles, Boof, Frazier, Dog, Tez, Wilco, Gali, our end making up the top 10. Aerox is in 11th, Elliott in 12th, Oba Mendez in 13th now. Kane was the only retirement that did not trigger a safety car, one of 4 retirements in here, but Blackbird, Ruprath with their retirements causing safety cars, Zados, and the unfortunate victim of Elliott sliding and just had nowhere to go. I think they would have mostly got away unscathed if they weren't so close to each other. But it is what it is, and now Oba Mendez has to hustle to catch up to the pack a little bit here. So I believe Oba Mendez might have taken he's made 2 stops. I don't believe he's made a second stop under this safety car. He's only made the 1. But now we should have one more lap of safety car conditions, then it'll be about 9 laps or 8 laps of sprint racing to get into the finish. It bunches the field back up. So we will see just what kind of hustle the soft tire runners have, reminding you who are on those. Frazier on them, Gully, Oba Mendez, and Aerox all on the soft compounded tires for this restart. Chibbles, Boof on young medium tires. Knacktrack and Space Ghost, I feel, are going to be in a little bit of trouble and might get shuffled down the order just with all the fresh tires. I would expect them to fall out of the podium positions. I would expect Frazier, Boof, and Chibbles to overtake them. I don't know if the pace differential will be enough for Dog, Tez, and Wilco to overtake Space Ghost's age of tire. So we'll just have to wait and see on that one. I do think Gali is in a good position to overtake those medium runners ahead, and our end has been decently quick, not quite on his best pace, I think, today, but does have some opportunities. But we should see Oba Mendez catch up the pack on this lap here. We'll be back to green flag racing relatively shortly. So, field is all bunched up. We should be back to green flag racing relatively shortly here. Wait for that safety car in this lap message to come on. And there it is. Safety car is indeed in this lap. Now, Knack Track will be leading this restart. He's backing the pack up quite a bit. Safety car on its way into the pit lane, and we will get ready to go back to green flag racing. So when does Knack Track choose to go? He's got the liberty to go whenever he wants. He does have some quick cars breathing down his gearbox, and he is just now eased onto the throttle. Not a very aggressive restart there from him. Space Ghost has got quite the run now on Knack Track. He's on some little bit stickier tires, and I think it's just kind of a lack of commitment as Gali has already snuck their way through. It nearly cost Knack Track the position. So Wilco and our end now side by side. That's off the track is Airrocks. He's had a moment, so he's regained his position. Charlie Chibbles up the inside of Space Ghost on those fresher tires. Side by side, Space Ghost is around. He's made contact with Booth through the Villeneuve chicane, and Space Ghost will drop right to the back, and Booth now into the P3, Fraser fourth. We will continue to see as it just gets wild down further in there. Yellow flag as Airrocks off the track. He's got the car spun back around and is facing the right direction once again. I think just a little bit of a squeeze on the exit of the Villeneuve chicane. That curbing is very difficult to take and leave space for, but now up at the front, Elliott, I think, has had a moment. No, that is Tez dropping down. Elliott is still good to go and working his way further up into the points-paying position. So Knack Track now under pressure from Charlie Chibbles. With the full safety car, of course, still going to need a couple of laps before the DRS is re-enabled. So we just have to wait and see. We'll have a few laps worth of safety car or DRS running at the very end. But now, Airrocks with a 3-second time on. Chibbles looking to the inside of Knack Track, not putting the move on. Our end a little further back now, looking to the inside of Gali ahead, not putting the move on. Fraser now closing up to the back of Booth, and this is where that tire differential comes into play. Booth just needs to survive the onslaught for a couple more laps, and then he'll start to see the tire pace swing over back towards the medium tire. He's just got to weather the storm, stick with Charlie Chibbles ahead, and make it difficult for Fraser to overtake. He just got to try and hold that position. Now, Dog falling off of the back of this lead battle. It's becoming quickly a 4-horse race out in the front of this one. Dog on those 9-lap-old mediums going to start getting swallowed up by the likes of Gali, our end, and Elliott, I would assume. Though they seem to be in okay shape. Now at the front, though, Charlie Chibbles once again close to Knack Track. Knack Track seems to get a decent exit off the corner. Yellow flags as that is Space Ghost off the track through the Variante Alta. DRS now enabled, so you won't be on this lap, but once they hit the detection point next time down the pit straight, you will see that DRS and Boof now getting involved with this front-running battle up the inside of Charlie Chibbles. He's got to kind of cut across the curbing, and now that's going to give Fraser an opportunity, who's got quite a bit of momentum off of Tamburello. Fraser to the inside, side by side. Fraser not quite going to be there. Elliott out of the session and has had a mistake through Tamburello. That is going to be another safety car, and this is going to be a short one. It will be very, very quick. This full safety car, as Elliott looks to have had a mistake through Tamburello. And once again, off the back of the pack. Space Ghost in position to make a pit stop already. Now, if you're Knack Track, do you come in? Hello, Sam. Good to see you again in the chat. Hope you've been well. As you can see, there's still people crashing on their own and FRS races causing safety cars. So, you know, fun things as always. Although I won't say crashing on there. I'm not sure. Elliott may have been touched. I don't know. I wasn't looking at that battle. I'm not sure. Aerox picks up an instant 10-second for cutting the Alta chicane. And into the pit lane is Knack Track. And, yeah. Knack Track, Fraser, Boof, and Dog all into the pit lane. Charlie Chibbles, Gali stay out. RN stays out. Wilco is into the pits as well, though he picks up a 5-second time penalty. Oh yeah, I can't blame you for sticking with iRacing. I think it's an investment. Is iRacing. Glad to hear things are going well. Sorry for... So, field bunching back up. We'll see what tires everybody's got on. Lots of stops in this race, but the top 4 have all stayed out on track. 6 laps on their tires. Gali Obermann on the softs. Everybody else, though, on to fresh softs. So we're just waiting for the pack. Almost bunched up. Pretty much everybody on soft tires. Aerox still on some hards. Of course, only 2 positions to make up to get into the top 10 and score some points today. Charlie Chibbles, though, in the lead of this race. 7-lap-old mediums. Gali, 7-lap-old softs. And it may be a situation where, well, we're going to go back to green flag racing, and we're not going to have enough laps to trigger any kind of DRS being available again. Because what, it would be lap 30, 31. Yeah, it won't be available for the rest of this race. So that may help, though these fresh soft tire runners behind. Knack Track's in a good spot, but he's got to make up 4 positions for the win. I can see Knack Track and Fraser getting in amongst the top 4, but I don't know. Oh, and there's a big crash. A spin from Boof. Safety cars in this lap, and well, as I was saying that Fraser and Boof might get in amongst the top 3, Boof has had a big time spin. And now it's really thrown off who's in what position. It looks like we've just got it kind of sorted. I think Wilco and Tez went past. But Chibbles, for the third time of the 4 safety cars, is restarting this race. So we will see if he can get the jump on Gali behind. Out of the final corner, still has not yet gone. Waiting, now he's ramped it up. Throttle on, there we go. A little further back, there is a bit of a bunching of the pack. We will see Fraser working his way alongside Naktrack. Oba Mendez up the inside goes the Aston Martin. Is he going to get to the inside before Tamburello? Naktrack on the inside as well. Sneaks through, and Fraser up into 4th. Naktrack up into 5th. Oba Mendez has come off worst, shuffled down from 4th now to 9th, just getting caught out of the grouping. Boof back up into 6th place, has made his way past Dog. Arend all over the back of Gali, but also has a very hard charging Fraser with some very fresh tires right alongside. 3-second time penalties for Gali, Arend, and Fraser in there. So they are going to drop down the order as if they can't run away from this pack. Naktrack in a very good position, side by side through Aqua Minerale. Fraser and Arend, and Arend's had a spin. Arend's had a spin, and it's caught out Naktrack. There's some local yellows, but that is Arend straight to the back of the field. Naktrack has rejoined. He may have some damage, though. Charlie Chibbles is basically getting everything he needs for potential race win. Off the track is Oba Mendez, it looks like, through the Alta chicane. He's picked up a 3-second time penalty instant for corner cutting. But now it's going to be Boof trying to work his way up into the podium positions, further up the podium positions. Fraser, though, has got a run on Boof with only 2 laps left to go in this race. The penultimate lap, we're on 31 of 32. Charlie Chibbles leads by 1.5 seconds. Tez and Wilco have swapped positions around. We will see if any other movements being made. RN goes by as Oba Mendez appears to have some damage. Airrocks with 19 seconds worth of time penalties is not going to help himself out there. But we'll join up with this battle for the final podium position. Boof, Fraser, and Gali. 2 of those 3 will make it onto the podium at the end of this one. Oh, and mistake from Gali. He's into the barriers. Boof and Fraser now up into the podium places and just too much throttle out of Tosa. And Gali has had a big time spin. It looks like Arend is going slow as well through coming on his way into Tosa. So he's had a bit of a run through the grass. And now Fraser got to try and catch up to Boof and Charlie Chibbles. And I think Arend might have some significant damage, maybe. He's going very slowly through those first couple of corners, but I think Charlie Chibbles has just about got what he needs to win this race. Boof 1.5 seconds back. Fraser and Dog, the next 2 drivers on track with 3-second time penalties. Naktrack has recovered well. He's within the 3-second margin to get a podium position out of this one. And no, Naktrack's lost the position. Naktrack has spun out of Rivazza, so Naktrack drops right to the back. We will ride on board with Fraser as he's trying to catch up to the driver just ahead. How can he compare his lines? But Charlie Chibbles actually quicker on those old mediums than anybody else. The 2 McLarens actually, will check out, are dicing it out. But mistakes being made in the final stages of this race by lots of drivers. And it's just kind of sorting the positions out. And Naktrack was in a position to take a podium position on the penalties, but now P9, and it looks like Tez has had a spin as well. So Tez dropped it through Tosa. Naktrack back up into P8, and a lot of unforced errors up and down the field here on these final 2 laps. Drivers pushing hard, not needing to. They're, big time gaps and lots of penalties as well. And the drivers that are making mistakes, Naktrack, Tez, are the ones without penalties and would be taking positions without even having to pressurize the driver ahead. But out of Rivazza 2 comes the Aston Martin. Charlie Chibbles, as he's done so many times in the Div R races, takes yet another win, wins the San Marino Grand Prix. Boof is going to cross the line 2nd, Fraser 3rd, Dog 4th. And I think Fraser and Dog, with the spins behind them, are going to retain their positions because Space Ghost is 6 seconds back. Yes, Space Ghost is going to come home 5th. Captain Wilco 6th. Aerox is carrying 22 seconds of time penalties. Naktrack has spun again. Some more mistakes. Naktrack, I think, is just about going to stay inside the points as it gets sorted out. Gali up in 8th, Aerox 9th. And Naktrack is going to come home across the line, take P9 points because of the penalties for Aerox. And apparently just everybody forgot how their right foot works in this final lap, but I don't think I've ever seen so many spins on a final lap of a race, and amongst so many drivers that didn't need to even be pushing. So almost every one of those drivers that had a spin was sitting inside the penalty margin of a car ahead of them. There was no need to take the positions on track, and they just pushed and spun. So interesting finish. Good drive from Booth. A last to second is what it ends up being. Not quite able to make the last to first work, but a tremendous drive from Booth. A good drive from Charlie Chibbles as well. Assured out in the front. Led at many stages of this race. Of course, led 4 of the 5 safety car restarts. But wow, definitely got interesting at the very end of that race, and I think I may be getting in one of those stuck screens where I'm not going to get the final race results. If it does come back, I will bring the screen back up. But wow, what a finish to that one. There we go. Hopefully we can see what happens. And there we go. All right, I've actually got game footage back. So Charlie Chibbles from Booth. Fraser comes home 3rd. Dog in 4th. Space Ghost in 5th. Tez 6th. Wilco Gully. Nacktrack comes home 9th. Air Rocks rounds out the top 10. Ara and Denoba Menace finished just outside the points paying positions. Elliot, Zados, Kane, Ruprecht, Blackbird. Your retirements in today's race. And bit of a heartbreaker, I think, for Nacktrack. Qualified 2nd. Took the lead off the start, but then mistakes in the dying stages of that race cost him the opportunity for some huge points as opposed to what he scored. But that kicks off the race weekend here in FRS. Week 9 of Season 6. You can see on the schedule it says Abu Dhabi. No, we've made the audible call. There's still issues with that track, so we are indeed at the Imola circuit. And, well, we've got 2 weekends left to go in Season 6 here, and then we will be taking a bit of a break over the lovely holiday season. Of course, more racing is yet to come this weekend. Racing tomorrow, PC Division 1, Xbox Division 1, and PC Division 4. And then, of course, Sundays running PlayStation Division 1, PC Division 3, and finishing off the weekend with PC Division 2. But thank you all for joining me once again. It's great to see you all in the chat as always. I hope you all have a great day. Enjoy the Japanese Grand Prix, wherever times you need to be awake for it. I think technically for me, qualifying starts on Friday. Is that true? I think it's technically at like 10 or 11 at night, my time. Oh, let's find out. But I think we found that there's some good fighting to be had here at Imola. Overtaking is definitely difficult. It's definitely difficult, but possible. And apparently even the top tier drivers are having some tough mistakes to iron out. But 11 o'clock. Qualifying starts at 11 o'clock. Yeah. Which means I have a Saturday race at 10 p.m. Cool. Great. But I'll catch you guys next time. Thank you all for joining me. Y'all have a great day. See y'all.